tell by the title, guys, we're going to be doing top 5 players of the Pozzo era. Now, this is a subject that will be up for debate for years to come.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And obviously, it's not the end of the Pozzo era by any stretch, but I think, we're almost approaching a decade. Obviously, the Pozzos came in 2012, so 2 years to a decade since they've been at the club, 8 years or so. And me and Shane are going to be picking our top 5 players, not the best players, potentially. I know a couple of mine will be classed as, I think, personally, some of the best players to play for the club in this era. However, it's totally opinion-based. There's no right answer. And do let us know your top 5 in the comment section below. That would be great to hear from you guys how it compares to us. I think, Shane, you kick it off with your 5th place.
This is quite an interesting one for me because this is a guy who is still in the squad at the moment. We still see him regularly. My 5th choice is, interestingly, Craig Cathcart. The reason for that, of course, because, he kind of came on loan. We got him back again during the Pozzo era, and he's been a big part of, I would say, the promotion season. Incredibly dependable, very consistent. He was a free transfer as well. We shouldn't forget that. And that goal against Birmingham at the Vic is one of my eyes. A filthy goal. Filthy. I mean, I know the club have been releasing those overhead kicks and top volley goals and all that, and that's been in there and all that. But for me, he's highly, highly underrated. Gets a lot of flack, I think, sometimes unfairly, but I think we're looking at the last game against Liverpool. He put in a mammoth shift in that back line, kept a lot of their lads quiet. It shows that, time and time again, he can pull out big performances for us. I feel like him, if he's alongside someone like Cabasele, I think that kind of helps him quite a lot. But I look at Cathcart very much as like an elder statesman in the team now. He knows the club. He's got a lot of respect for the club. He knows, I think, about the model as well. And that's really important. So, and he's really bought into the club kind of ethos of it. But he'd go into 5th spot for me. It's interesting actually because there are a few players that, the minute we you kind of said to me, we'll do top 5. Our top 5 best players of the Pozzo era. Lots of names came into my mind, and out of this 5, 3 were just instant yeses, definitely. There were 2 that I had to kind of think of, and Cathcart I think was one. It was between him and probably Gabriel Angela for the other spot, but I went for Cathcart because I think of the longevity.
I'm going to go for an attacker who's actually in the current side. I'm going to go for Gerard Deulofeu. Now, he hasn't been at the club for a while, of course. Obviously, had that loan spell at the end of the 2017-18 season. He got injured. Scored a huge goal at home against Chelsea. But for me, Gerard Deulofeu had an impact in one of the biggest games of Watford's history, the semi-final in the Wolves game. His contribution since he's been at the football club has been magnificent. He's got so much quality. It's over 50 games he's played for the club. And I'm surprised he hasn't got more looking into the Spain national team. But I just think the impact Gerard Deulofeu's had since he's arrived at Watford has been magnificent. He played a part in one of the greatest substitute appearances you'll ever see in that Wolves game. 5th place for me is Gerard Deulofeu. I think he would be higher had he been at the club for longer. He's only been here since 2017. And obviously did have that injury at the back end of that season. But particularly under Javi, last season he was superb. And this season again, obviously before his really horrible injury, he was really good as well. So he's been the shining light of a poor season. So Gerard Deulofeu makes it into 5th for me. We'll move on to 4th. Shane, do you want to hit us with your 4th position?
4th position was one whereby, 5th for me was quite difficult. 4th for me was quite a difficult one. My top 3 was just picked itself for me. 4th spot, controversial one, a battle of the strikers. I think some of you know where I might be going with this if you've known me for a long time. 4th spot, I've gone for Odion Ighalo. There's a big reason for this. It was between, I'll be totally honest, look, it was between him and Vidra for this one. Why did I go for Ighalo? Purely because when we went up to the Prem, his goals kept us up that first half of the season. The form there was incredible. I felt like he got to the form of his career in the 14-15 season. Pure number of goals. I've actually got it down here. 35 games, 20 goals in that 14-15 season. 15-16, 37 games, 15 goals. Tailed off second half of the season, but he scored that crucial goal in the FA Cup quarter-final against Arsenal that got us on the road to Wembley in the semi-final. He was a huge asset to us in our first Prem season. That link up between him and Troy, the scoop, of course, as we knew, but that dirty and dirty as well for the Prem as well, because a lot of people did not see that coming. And look, ultimately, his link up with Troy was fantastic, and it's a big part of the reason, especially that game against Liverpool, that link up that they had, especially for Origi's second goal. I felt like the two of them, the partnership together. Obviously, we can't necessarily include Troy in this, but Igalo's a big reason for that. And he's looking to get United kind of up and running again now, isn't he? And a lot of United fans had raised eyebrows when he was signed and all that, but they're showing that actually he's got the ability to do really well for them. And look, listen, he's a player I've had a bit of a thing with, the last few years ago. Absolutely love him. His hard work, his determination, his passion for the club. He loves Watford. There have even been rumours, ever since he left, he talks about Watford so freely. His family still live in the area. His kids still go to school here. He loves the area. He loves the club. And I wish him all the very best at United. But he goes as my fourth best player of the Pozzo era.
Great shout, Shane. I don't know. I haven't actually included Igalo in my top five. I think he missed out narrowly. I think the reason for it, I think he had just been at the club for a little bit longer. I know, obviously, he had in that championship season and that first Premier League season back, absolutely, phenomenal, particularly under Keane. You could even argue half of that season he was superb, and the other half he was pretty poor. I think he only scored a couple of goals after Christmas.
A couple of goals, I
think what you're spot on about is the impact he had. It's unprecedented. I really don't think it can be replicated, particularly that championship season was incredible.
It was brilliant.
In front of goal. Fourth place, I've gone for a goalkeeper. Not Ben Foster, I've gone for Aurelio Gomez. I think he had to be in the top five for me, just because he's been in the transition from the Premier League, from the Championship to the Premier League. I think that man has contributed so much to Watford, not only on the pitch, but similar to Igalo, off the pitch as well. 144 appearances for Watford, and what people forget is we did sign him on a free. And remember, he come under a lot of stick at Tottenham, and when we got him, it was like, Watford, what are you really doing here? He doesn't have a lot of Championship experience, but one thing he did bring was an incredible attitude. Made some unbelievable saves. The ones that stick out to me just on top of my head, Bolton away in that 4-3 win.
Oh, yes.
Unbelievable triple save.
Oh, Jesus.
In West Ham at home.
Yes.
2017.
Yeah.
The list goes on. There's been so much from Aurelio Gomez
fantastic.
That I could just wheel off, because he's unbelievable professional. But I just think he had to be in there for me because of the longevity from 2014 to now, the amount of games, the contribution, that first season back in the Premier League, that obviously the two penalty saves against Side of Berahino, 2016-17, under Matt Sarri. I think we would have gone down actually had it not been for Gomez. But he's just been a constant throughout this Pozzo era, so he had to be in there, and he's got to in number 4. So Aurelio Gomez is in my fourth position. Shane, on to your third.
My third is going to be very similar to your fourth, because I've gone third spot Aurelio Gomez, which is quite interesting. But listen, I just want to add on to that. He had a bit of a reputation when he was at Spurs. He didn't come across as incredibly confident. I remember at the time actually a few of my a few of my friends at uni, were like, hang on, a couple of Spurs, hang on a minute, what the hell have you gone off and signed him for? He'll cost you guys this, he'll cost you guys that. If you guys are serious about getting, promoted to the Prem, you can't have this clown in goal and all that. I remember all that stuff, right? And I felt that was really harsh, but he's overcome that. He was player of the season as well. But the one thing I think the key thing about Gomez, the one thing I just want to kind of hone in on, is that his performances on the pitch and how he handles himself off it has been great, but he's now a massive ambassador for the club when it comes to the community, when it comes to really instilling the family values that this club has. I think that's massive. That is, we could talk about performances on the pitch, but if you're able to make an impression off the pitch as well, as with all the community schemes that Watford have, all the work that we do in the community, he for me, he flew into my top 3 just for that reason alone, really. And he's been brilliant. And I remember, I think it was the FA Cup quarter-final at the Vic last season against Palace, and his very emotional hug as well with Troy. That was unbelievable as well. It was great to see him. He's always had time for the fans. He's always made time as well. And I miss his enthusiastic goal celebrations as well. Every time we do score, and I'm right in front of them, he leaps up into the air. It's so good to see, because he feels it with us as well. If a goal goes in, he's celebrating amongst the fans. He's a great guy, and that's why he's made it up to 3rd in mine.
Yeah, he had to be in the top 5, didn't he?
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Right, we'll move on to my number 3, and that is Abdoulaye Doucouré. Yeah, it's big call. 2016 to obviously 2020. Joined 9.5 million from Rennes. Actually started pretty patchy. Obviously got sent out to Granada on loan. I remember January 2017 on deadline day, he was close to move to Lorient. I think it was on loan.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was. Yep.
I think Granada also interested. I remember he got put in under Mazzara, and I said to my dad at the time, I just don't think he's not very good. And bloody hell, what do I know? Right. But he came into his own at the end of that season when he dropped a little bit deeper. And then the 2017-18 season, which started off under Silva and then obviously Javi, we saw the best of Abdoulaye Doucouré. I remember the first goal, I think one of the first goals of that season was the goal against Southampton from the edge of the area. And it really just...
Yes, brilliant finish. Yeah.
I think we saw the best of him that season, actually, a box-to-box player. And it suited the system. I think it was the 4-2-3-1 we were playing at the time. But yeah, I think with Abdoulaye Doucouré, he's got so much quality. And from 2017 to 2019, he obviously won the Player of the Season 2017 to 18. Obviously, I think without Capoue, he's not the same player, but he's just an absolute machine. And Troy said in an interview, he's covering 11, 12 kilometres every game, which is unheard of for the player of this level. And to have someone at the club who's that fit, that athletic, covers so much ground, contributes goals, defensively fantastic as well. Over 117 appearances, 17 goals. He had to be in the top 5 for me. And I think for the value we got him for, we've got 3 decent seasons out of him, and particularly the Premier League. When you're comparing it to the Championship, it's you don't want to try and look down on the players who play in the Championship, but he is a different kettle of fish, I think, and he's proven in the Premier League, and that's why he has attracted so much interest from elsewhere. And I wouldn't be surprised if he moved on, but certainly Doucouré is one of the best midfielders, I think, to actually play for the club, and he's taken number 3 for me. So we move on to your second spot, Shane. Who have you gone for?
This was a really tough one because, deciding between who should get runner-up. Well, not so much runner-up. Second and then first was really tough for me. But second spot for me is Alman Abdi. What a player. Footballers have nicknames all the time. You got Chicharito at United or wherever he was, but this guy, the Professor, he was called the Professor for a reason. He was different gravy for us. Absolutely different gravy for us in the Championship. Week in, week out, his performances were top notch. Intelligence, ability, cut above the rest, really. What's quite interesting about him, right, is that he's the only guy, the last player for us to score directly from a free kick. Him against Villa. Yeah. Villa 15-16, yeah. In a game that we were losing 2-0. Or no, it was 1-1 actually. So no, when equalised, then they went 2-1 up again, and they'd all bedlam and Tube and Troy silenced the Villa fans, which was brilliant. But he was a big part of our promotion season, and I think that team, Abdi, Vidra, Igalo, Troy, you've got Angela at the back, Gomez in goal. It was a solid team, absolutely solid team. He's been a huge part of that. He's been an ever-present throughout the Championship. My only regret with him, and maybe that's the reason why he didn't maybe push for the top spot, is he couldn't carry on that form. I felt like he was being played out of position at times as well. He couldn't really get himself in there. That ultimately, sadly, led to his demise. But what a player for us, and a guy that will go down in our history as, I think, one of the greatest in the Pozzo era. Certainly somebody that came in and made a massive impact for us.
Yeah, Shane, you've read my mind. Second spot for me is Alman Abdi.
Yeah.
I echo everything Shane said there. I thought it was absolutely spot on. What a player. As you mentioned, the professor. I mean, you don't get given the title if
you don't.
About you. I think what's important to remember is 25 goals, and for a central midfielder, it's good going since he was.
It's good going.
Obviously, a number of them were set pieces as well, and you mentioned that. I can't think of many better we've had in the Pozzo era. Maybe Daniel Tozer.
Tozer, yeah.
He's probably up there. But
he's probably the biggest. I mean, I'll be honest with you, right? Not that we're going to do anything, like a big feature on this, but the biggest what ifs of the Pozzo era, he's got to be in there, isn't he? Surely.
Do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's.
Yeah. He's got to be. Angela, yeah, definitely, absolutely, yeah. But it's a shame. The one thing as well with Abdi, I know he kind of left Watford and everything, and he's, he was at Sheffield Wednesday and everything, and things haven't really kind of gone as well for him now. Seen some really quite kind of like unfortunate like scenes and so on with him recently, but class above the rest, and it's a shame to see where he is now. But when he was with us, he was one of the best that we've ever seen.
I mean, 2012-13 player of the season for us as well.
Yep.
I think also I'd even go as far as say one of the best midfielders to grace the championship, let alone the cup.
Yeah.
Incredible. But as you said, he did suffer with injuries, and that's going to be. Alman Abdi. He had periods out, even when he first joined the club. I think he had 4 weeks out.
He did. Yes.
He had another period in the 2013-14 season. So he's been. Injury problems have played a part, and I think that's where it's kind of gone downhill for a little bit. And I think he did leave at the right time. I don't think
I agree with that,
because the issue was, I think, as you remember, Kike was shifting him out onto the left and the right hand side.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Apart from that goal away at Stoke, which caused absolute carnage in the game.
Yeah.
Everything that Shane said was absolutely spot on. Echo his thoughts. In second space is Alman Abdi for me. Moving on to your top spot, Shane. Who have you gone for?
Tough, but the guy is currently in the team at the moment. We've been singing his praises all season. Right now, if the season was to end in the current situation, this guy would be my player of the season. Top spot is Etienne Capoue. He was a massive coup for us from Spurs when we signed him for the 15-16 season. He's the one player, when you're kind of rebuilding from Championship to Premier League, you look at the kind of players that you're bringing in, what kind of caliber do they have, relatively okay kind of signings had come, and then all of a sudden when I saw Etienne Capoue's name in there, I was like, whoa, this guy, I've heard of him. He's coming from Spurs to Watford. He's coming to Hertfordshire kind of thing, and I felt it was like a real wow moment for me. He's been integral the last couple of seasons or so. I think it's been him and Doucouré have kind of been in there. I think at times Capoue's kind of dragged Doucouré through games, and vice versa as well. I think they've helped each other out, but his drive, his physicality, his tenacity in that midfield at times, it's just unbelievable. There have been games whereby we may not have necessarily picked up the victory, but Capoue's work rate in there will never go unnoticed. It's only kind of now that outside of Watford, in the wider world of the Premier League, he's kind of been a bit more recognised as, okay, this is a guy that's actually a real reason as to why Watford are kind of, moving on with like a bit of a spring in their step under Nigel Pearson. Yeah, and he's elevated his performances under Pearson. I'm going to come out and say, for me, he's one of the greatest to pull on the Watford shirt. I think, full stop.
I think it's about that.
Absolutely. Joy to watch as well every week, and somebody who I managed to get a picture with last season, just hobbling out of the Emirates. Really, really nice guy, solid bloke, and always made time as well for a couple of the fans as well that were there. He's a great guy, and for me, it was tough to choose the top 5, but I kind of narrowed it down to like a top 3. But when I kind of sat down and really thought about it, I thought this guy stood in the side. What he gives us, even when we're not winning games, is just massive, and that's why Etienne Capoue is number 1 for me. Yeah.
And again, top 2, I agree with Shane. Top spot for me, Etienne Capoue. I think when you're picking the best, your favourite or the top of the Pozzo era, you've got to look at a number of factors. I think the time at which they joined, it was such an important part, the transition from the Championship to the Premier League. And as you mentioned, Shane, to get not a household name, but someone who was known in the league,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Again, similar to Aurelio, he didn't have a great time at Spurs, and he had a bit of a stigma attached to him that, you know what, this player, he's not really proven. He's got a bit about him, but Tottenham fans didn't really like him. They didn't have average, but actually, Etienne Capoue, as you said, Shane, is one of the greatest midfielders to play for Watford, I think. He's the best player and the best signing of the Pozzo era, without a doubt for me.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, 9 goals. And I think when you look back on it, £6.3 million, Etienne Capoue.
That's a steal. It's an absolute steal. Yeah, it's an absolute steal.
But, and again, I mean, I keep saying, I completely agree with Shane. We're a different team without Etienne Capoue. And I put the call in, and I think you're right that both of them at times have had off days, but they both pull each other through. And that combination of four has been phenomenal since we've been in the Premier League. But obviously, got to mention Capoue, 2018-19 Player of the Season, one of the best seasons in the club's history. And again, the stat that always follows Etienne Capoue, no player made more interceptions in Europe's top 5 leagues during last campaign.
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
He's criminally underrated. Not by what
really good. Yeah.
From other clubs. So no doubt about Etienne Capoue is the best player of the Pozzo era for me. Best player, my favourite player. I think, no doubt about it. So, yeah, there we go. Shane, your thoughts?
Yeah.
Thoughts on when you compare the top 5, would there be anyone you disagree with that I put in? Or would there be anyone you put in?
Anyone I disagree with? I think it's, I think the top 5 is like very, very fair. For me, the reason why Doucouré maybe didn't get in there, I think just personally, is that I feel like if I look at Doucouré and Capoue, whilst they've both been great players for us, if I look at who's performed better over the last couple of seasons, I think Capoue just edges Doucouré out, and it's only ever so slightly in that respect. I feel like our top 5 is actually quite similar in some respects because absolutely. But I think, I guess the one thing, and I can kind of just look back at my top 5 now, and I think the one area where I feel like people will maybe kind of disagree with me is the whole Ighalo or Vydra kind of thing, and I can kind of see that coming. For me, Vydra, great player for us in the Championship. The only reason why it's not been included, quite simply, and people will disagree on this point as well, he didn't do it for us in the Prem. Was he not given the chance to do that in the Prem? Maybe, but I look at what else he kind of did after his career, Vydra, and actually went off to West Brom for a while, went off to Reading, I think, as well, mingled around the Championship, and now he's at Burnley. He banged in a brawl against Southampton a couple of weeks ago, and he looks to be kind of slowly getting back into like Sean Dyche's reckoning and all that. But for me, Ighalo did it for us over a longer period, and just quite simply, Vydra didn't really, and that takes nothing away from him. I still think Vydra scored one of the greatest goals I've seen at Vicarage Road, aside from the obvious one.
We've got to do that. I think top 5 goals.
Oh, top 5 goals. Oh, I mean, do we do top 5 goals away, top 5 goals at home? I mean, oh gosh, just might be too much. I mean, and I have to go back over the old flipping archives again. I could be sitting here for hours just doing that, just looking at old goals, going back over the old season reviews and all that, man. But that'd be quality. But no, listen, look, I think the top 5 is fantastic. I'd be interested to see what other people say on this one, because I think people will, I think a lot of people will agree with our kind of like the main 3, Capoue, Abdi, and Gomez. I don't think that's kind of up for debate necessarily. I think the other 2 areas would be very interesting to see.
Really difficult to pick your top 5. I've actually got a list of notable mentions that we could. I'll just give some.
Oh, go on. Yeah, go on.
Mention Matteo Vydra and Angela.
Angela.
2012, obviously joined, but had that season on loan, but has been injury ridden. Actually, one of the most underrated seasons from a Watford player, Valon Brahmi.
Oh, Brahmi!
Wouldn't make the top 5 in one season. I don't think there's been many better.
No.
Cathcart, as you mentioned. Forrest.
Cathcart.
I think
Fessy.
Marco Cassetti.
The beard alone would just make it into my top 5. Top 5 beards of the Pozzo era. There we go.
5 sexiest Watford players that we do on point.
Forget about this whole top 5 Pozzo era. Forget about the top 5 goal scorers, the top 5 sexiest Pozzo players. That will get the most, that will cause the most amount of debate. I promise you that will.
That'd be good. Got Jose Holebas potentially. I think some might
Mm.
Fifth. Daniel Tozer, Roberto Pereira played over 100 games with Watford.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think he could be in for a shout as well.
I think Pereira is that one player that I look at in the Pozzo era that there are very few times like whereby like let's say your hair kind of stands on end whenever you see like a signing like confirmed and all that. But when I saw Pereira announce that he'd signed from Juventus, of all the teams, Juventus who had just reached the Champions League final, I was seriously like, no, this guy is massive. Like, we have potentially signed a superstar here. Like, that's how I felt at the time. I felt like that. I think that first season that he had, the 16-17, he got injured. I remember that. But when he did play at the start of that season, he was 1 or 2 steps ahead of every other player on that pitch. Every time he got the ball, he knew where he wanted to go. Every time the ball came into him, he flicked it out to someone else. He made those runs. We missed him in that season. I feel like if Pereira had been fit, he would have given us a little bit of extra spark, and maybe we wouldn't have been so close down to relegation. Maybe we would have pulled away with some of his creativity and all that. At times, though, I just feel like with him, his form has fluctuated too much. I feel like his attitude has fluctuated a little bit as well. I feel like sometimes, I know that Torino called his name. I know he's a big fan of Mazzari. Chelsea, I think, have called his name as well recently, and I feel like he could well be going and leaving the club potentially quite soon. But good player for us, and a guy that I looked at and I thought, serious quality.
Yeah, and I mean, even when I was looking up some Pozzo Era players, I didn't even realise 100 games with Roberto Pereira played for Watford.
Yeah.
16. So, I mean, as you said, Shane, when he joined the club, you knew it was a huge signing, really. I don't think he's hit the heights that I expected personally. There's been
yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Bits of play from him that you think, God, this guy is absolute class. I mean, the one that stands out for me is the goal against Leicester under Mazzari.
Oh, yes. Oh, what a goal.
Under Javi, when he was on the left-hand side, you really thought Pereira, this is Pereira was. But I just don't think he's gone on to hit the heights that we expected, particularly for the money we paid, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
It was actually quite big for Watford. But now, obviously, you look at Ismaila Sarr, he may be. We look down the line in 10 years, we'll go Ismaila Sarr, top 5. Hopefully. Anyway.
Right now, I mean, I think I look at Sarr as potentially one of the most exciting players that we've ever signed. I feel like, second half at the Vic, I see him running down that wing. Like, he wants to take on players. He's not afraid of that. The whole lion aura that he has about himself, man, it comes true. I saw him the Liverpool game was one thing, obviously, because we won that game, but against Spurs, like, they had left back that guy Tanganga or someone out there. He was running Tanganga ragged throughout that entire game. I mean, he picked up a yellow card. That guy did not want the ball. And that's the kind of thing Sarr kind of instilled, like I could see Tanganga actually almost looks like he had tears in his eyes, because he kept on looking over at his other defenders, and his defenders were just bellowing at him. But Sarr kept on going, and he keeps it up. He keeps on scoring the goals, keeps on assisting, keeps on doing what he's doing right now. And I think we could well be in this conversation in 2, maybe even three seasons time.
Yeah, big future for us, Miller. I think there's been a number of players in this Pozzo era where they've had one great season and they haven't really kicked on. But I think the ones we've picked, there's an element of longevity in the sense they proved over a certain period of time. I think the one for me potentially that people could argue with is Delafeu. Only probably 1.5 seasons we've seen from him, but I think with the core we've seen 2 or 3. Obviously, 5 now. Alban Abdi 3 or 4. So I think that's definitely a factor we've got to keep when you pick your top 5. But guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure doing this, actually, and we've got some more videos to come over this time off. Great to have Shane as always. Let us know your top 5 down in the comment section below. Make sure you do follow us on Twitter, Instagram to keep up with all the day updates of Watford news. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, stay indoors, keep safe, and we'll see you next time.